Hello, and welcome to this video series called Don't Fear the Horn. My name is Richard Stegel. I'm a French horn player, a brass teacher and a writer. These videos accompany my book, also called Don't Fear the Horn, which was first published in March 2023 by Bromley Brass Press. In this short introductory video, I'm going to be explaining to you why I've written this book and who the book is for, as well as telling you some of the information that we're going to cover in the following videos. The main reason that I've written this book is firstly to improve many people's knowledge about the French horn, but most importantly to try and get away from the idea that the French horn is some kind of elitist instrument, that you need a specialist, high-level horn teacher and an amazingly expensive instrument. You don't. You need a brass teacher, a good brass teacher, who is confident in teaching the horn and can select the correct instrument, not necessarily a very expensive one, for their pupil. It's the aim of this book to give confidence to as many people as possible to be able to deal with the French horn, whether that's teaching it or coaching it or even playing it themselves. So this book is aimed at lots of groups of people, but firstly it's written for brass players and brass teachers. Generally, I think of brass players being in three different categories: those that refuse, those that misuse, and those that are just confused. Firstly, there are those that refuse, that point blank say they are not going to teach the French horn. It's just too weird, too different from my own instrument. Obviously, if you're the only brass teacher in a school, then that could be a lost opportunity for someone. The second category is those that misuse. And this particularly happens with single B-flat horns. A teacher will take a single B-flat horn and say, hey, this is a B-flat instrument. It's exactly the same as a trumpet. It's exactly the same as a baritone. Let's just teach it that way. Let's teach it in B-flat. Unfortunately, this is a fairly catastrophic way to teach the French horn. You're teaching them the wrong note names, and you're also starting them off in a range that's really not ideal for a beginner. The third group is the confused, and I hate to say it, but most brass players fall into this category. Those that are willing to give teaching the horn a go, but aren't as confident as they are teaching their own instrument. The confused category could also cover some specialist horn teachers themselves, particularly those starting out on their teaching journey. They may be just trotting out the same phrases that they were taught while they were learning, rather than thinking about the individual needs of each pupil. These videos should also be useful to those learning to play the horn themselves, especially if they're swapping from another brass instrument. I also hope these videos are useful to those learning the horn, particularly later in life, who are trying to be self-taught and want to make sure that they're learning everything correctly. The other group of people that these videos are made for are those that coach the French horn, band directors and conductors, particularly those working in youth and amateur settings, where your French horn players might need a little bit of extra help and encouragement. And of course, these videos in my book are for everybody who want to be further educated about the glorious instrument that is the French horn. Now, the important thing that we must point out here is the French horn is a brass instrument. Brass instruments all work in the same way. They've been carefully manufactured to resonate at certain pitches. We call this the harmonic series. And although the French horn works in the same way as all the other brass instruments, there are a few differences. We'll deal with this in chapter 2. And once we get to grips with these differences, we can really start to understand the French horn. These videos have been ordered in the same way as my book. We'll start with a brief whiz through the horn's history, which will give us pointers as to why these differences occur, before working through these differences in a systematic way, looking at the keys of horn, single and double horns, holding the instrument and right hand position, which will then lead to the often misunderstood topic of hand stopping. We'll look at the finer points of embouchure and tuning before going into transposition, bass clef, and understanding orchestral horn parts. We'll finish with some general tips about teaching, horn maintenance, and working with horns in mixed ensembles. So please like, comment and subscribe, and if you click on the bell icon below, you'll receive notifications when each new video is released. Also below are details of my website and where to buy your copy of Don't Fear the Horn. I look forward to seeing you for Chapter 1, A Brief History of the Horn. Until then, bye-bye.